And if it takes a second to, I'll hit record. Okay, and let me get the link to this real quick, and then I can send you a link. Hey guys, we're going to get started in 1 second if you're already joining us. I have the amazing Drago Reid with me, and let me just put this link in the chat. I'm going to close this out. Let me make sure I copied it, grabbed it, and chat. Okay. Okay, here's the link if you want to share it out on Facebook. I put it in the Zoom chat or whatever, so it should have popped up on the right side. And while we're doing that, guys, and we're sharing the video out, I have with me Drago Reid. He's going to be talking about the ACIO today, Kruger, Anunnaki, secret space program, maybe some stuff. Drago is very advanced. You know, he really is. He's very advanced. I would say he's one of the best guests that comes on my show. Honestly, he really is. Like he always has me learn. But a little bit more about my guest. Drago is a Dolores Cannon Level 2 QHHT quantum healing hypnosis technique, past life regressionist. Less than 5% of all hypnotists in the world possess this knowledge and skill set. Through this technique, he is able to take the average everyday person to their somnambulistic state of trance, to the deepest level of the human mind, through simple visualizations and colors to obtain unlimited amounts of information. This is part of the mind that allows the experiencer to directly visit, time travel, and view multiple past and future parallel lives, where they experience it firsthand with their own eyes, very common from Earth lives, to mind-blowing extraterrestrial lives, otherworldly existences, in between incarnations, and to get answers to life's hard questions like, why are we here? Are we alone in the universe? Why did I choose this life? And why did everything happen the way it did? The technique also gives the client the facility to access higher and hidden knowledge, other dimensional realities, block memories, and unlocks the pathway to access you all your lives. Now, Drago is also really outspoken about his like service in the secret space program. I think he feels like he still is serving in the secret space program, and he has evidence to back it up. And I'm not sure if he was in Montauk too, but we'll talk about that. But he's definitely affiliated with the ACIO. I think Kruger and I'm not sure what else. But with all that said, I'd like to give him a big warm welcome and thanks back to the show. Drago, thanks so much for coming back on the show, man. How are you?
Same old man, just living that life of being a targeting individual, especially post-conference of the Full Disclosure Now conference has been hitting pretty hard. So like everybody talks about being a targeted individual, but that's a real thing, man. Like it's a real tangible, physical, painfully and mentally stretching kind of ordeal we have to go through. So like that conference we were at, man, it woke a lot of people up.
Yeah, and one thing I also think it did was it kind of solidified like our. I mean, I know Journey to Truth is doing this too with their conference as well, but like, and it's like we have our group of like friends now. It's like a lot of people that they're like are either around our age and they're all everybody's into this stuff. Either the people that watch us or the people that are involved with us. It's like we have our own group of friends. We have our own group of followers, but I think that's a good thing. But I'd also like to reach out to the bigger world too. I mean, I know we've talked about this before. Like some of the bigger radio stations won't pick up some of the stuff we do, But I mean, I think in due time, because I think once this stuff comes out, to the mainstream, which I think it will. I really do think it will. I just think it's a matter of time. I don't think they can hold back forever. Disclosure, full disclosure.
I mean, they've been holding it for almost 100 years now, man, and like everybody likes to claim that we're on the precipice of disclosure happening like next week, next year, 2025, 2026. But like, man, I'm just ready to join this kind of Star Trek universe and basically acknowledge that we've been part of this holographic matrix trap. And it's time to let it all go. We have to heal this thing. We have to remove the people in power that's controlling all this. And we have to do it by force. And that's what we're here doing now, man. We're all banding together because a lot of us were in the programs. You mentioned earlier, I'm in numerous programs, man. And it's current. And there's a lot of people that we know that I would say it's in our group of top 100 people. I would say the Full Disclosure Now conference, that was the collection of our most closest people in this field, the podcasters, the direct experiencers, and like what happened at that conference, man, it was mind blowing. Just the conversations we had and the amount of experiencers all at one event. That's never happened before.
I
Not
agree.
not that many important people. There were very important people there, and it was shocking. And I feel we did something. We started something. So I know that year 2 and year 3 and year 4, it's going to start getting so big that we got to start moving conferences, and it's just going to build from there. Because, like you were saying earlier, I think in one of your posts or something, how this conference was one of the a real SSP conference where everybody, they won't allow this subject to be talked about, and they will literally will uninvite us to shows with certain subjects if we try to bring it up. And it's just like, are these shows trying to do full disclosure? I don't think they are. It's like Johnny Enoch always says, like, they want to sell infotainment. They want to make money on this. They want to monetize the MK Ultra Monarch secret space program niche so they can get money off this. And it's very despicable to try to make money off of children that were using programs, especially the way they use those kids, the way they're using them today. And they just want to make money over it. And I've got to discover this over the last 2 or 3 years. I've been deep diving into these conference owners and who owns what and what their affiliations are and who they're connected to. And I'm realizing a lot of these people, they're connected to some deep pockets and some dark people. And their entire show's about love and light and like, let's bridge the gap and awaken humanity. But like, they're not allowing any of these subjects to be talked about. They're just inviting the same speakers over and over and over. And they're getting old, man. The stories never change. I'm talking about the old guard, the people where they've been telling their same story for 50 or 60 years, where it's no longer relevant anymore. What are they doing now? They're doing nothing. They're telling and regurgitating a story that never changes, and they're doing nothing for this movement. They're
Exactly.
they're not joining groups and going to Congress and making real change and making mind-blowing documentaries that'll get banned. They're not doing any of it. Then it makes you question that. Who are they really connected to? What's their real motivation? Where do they really want to see disclosure go to? So that's where I'm at right now. I'm just,
I wanted to tell you something interesting. I don't know. I know you don't get a chance to watch all my stuff. I know I put out a lot, but Matthew Mornian recommended this lady to me. Her name is Barbara Buck. She talks about like energy healing, and then she also talks about like she's a MyLab too. You know, she's a targeted individual, and what she told me was amazing. She's very psychically in tune. You know. And what she did was she had been being bothered by some, you know, she had been being targeted or felt like she was being MyLabbed, you know, and this was going on for a long time. So she tried to psychically tune into it. She psychically tuned in. She drew a picture of a guy, and then she drew a picture of a building to where she thought he was. And then she went there with her husband, and she saw the guy walking outside with a duffel bag behind his shoulder. And I was like, whoa. I was like, did you confront him? And she was like, no. She's like, I was kind of like, you know, worried to confront him. But like what I told her was, I said, I'm so sorry this happened to you. I was like, I feel like I'm targeted too, but I feel like we need to find out like exactly what she did, but like on a bigger level, we really need to find out who's doing this to people, like who's forcing these people into secret space programs and Montauk and like, you know, like and targeting people, you know, and making their lives miserable and always keeping people down, and you know, because that's a part of it too. I feel, you know, they never let people. They keep people who are targeted to a certain degree, and they never let them grow. You know, it's very hard to break out of like a matrix. But I'd like to find out who's doing this and why. I mean, I think we know why, but I mean, who's actually doing it and make these people responsible for what they're doing? You know?
it's funny you mentioned that because around 30 minutes ago, I made this post about what you're talking about right now. And I think it's so relevant. I want to read it. Can I read my comment, my post on
Yeah.
Facebook? It's very profound in the context in which you brought it up. And I feel that it's a synchronicity. So it's just like, okay, this was meant for the show. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Responding to a comment about military Big Brother targeting us during interviews and shutting down our interviews by killing the internet or hitting us with directed energy weapons or killing the electricity or taking down our posts. If they mess with us, we have to mess with them back. It's only karma, and these attacks and privacy invasions will not be tolerated. Even this censorship that we have a natural born right to express that gets deleted, like it's Reichstag 2.0 of Nazi Germany, needs to come to an end, and it's highly illegal. These social media corporations violate every law and Supreme Court ruling along with the Bill of Rights. These are rights that are non-infringible. It was Penny Bradley that I was doing a hypnosis session on during the 2024 Full Disclosure Now conference last month that we were both at. It was one of the most amazing conferences we went to that I know of.
Yeah.
And a government remote viewer showed up during Penny's session and showed up as eyeballs. And we seen 3 other malevolent beings that Penny saw while under, and I gave them a warning that if they didn't leave within 10 seconds, that I would politely and cordially give them a 10-second countdown and a warning. I then counted down. They didn't humor me after I said 1, so I immediately activated the dragon fire and I burned the living isht out of the government remote viewers' third eye and eyes, including the other beings that wouldn't leave. 2 of those malevolent beings that were also watching, that were remote viewing our session that was private, left immediately before I said 1. The third being decided that I was lying, so it found out very quickly that I wasn't playing once I said 1. I burned the crap out of it and was fighting me, so I increased the burn and intensity and became the dragon, and it scurried away. They all left abruptly. I quite literally breathed the dragon fire from my own mouth, and you can hear this in the recording. I actually went, I breathed through them.
That's amazing.
And basically, I do this during QHHT sessions and remote viewing sessions, and I'll burn your freaking eyes out because they're harming us. Love will never win fighting a battle with pure evil. I came here to this planet to awaken as many people as I can to the darkness and have been sacrificed my body and my mind more than any of you will ever understand for this purpose. We must unite and neutralize these people at their source. We need to create a plan of a very specific individuals like us, all the people we know, Robert, our crew, that will unite, form a team, make a plan, set countermeasures, set traps, and start remote viewing the people that are remote viewing us and defend ourselves. A project needs to be done, and these people need to be outed publicly. Who's in?
I'm in. I'm in for sure. I got to learn remote viewing. I know I need to learn it as good as you, but I'm definitely in. I think that's very well said, man. That's so well said. Like, someone made a comment and that Lawrence Gillette said, and like she said, someone's remote viewing someone in the shower. Yes, that's happening, and I didn't mean to laugh because it's not funny, but it really is happening. Someone said that they saw someone remote viewing them in the shower. A well known.
Numerous times, all the time. And
Yeah.
it's becoming to the point this specific individual that's partners.
You can walk to the path of virtue to a certain degree, but I see what you're saying too, like where enough's enough, like people have to start attacking back if they're being attacked. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, because what are we going to do? Are we just always going to take all this abuse and constantly get punched in the face by these people etherically, and they're just supposed to beat us down and break our bones and kill people we love and then threaten us? And what are we supposed to do? We're some of the most powerful people on this planet, and we've never formed a plan. There is no official plan that I know of with all these people that we know in our groups. And it was Sean Bond. I had somebody activated an ex-girlfriend that's going by Ash Bray. And I definitely want to bring her up. Her name is Amber Irene Compton. And we were told that she was activated 2 days after I spoke at that conference. And up to that conference, I had only considered one time that Amber was in the programs. And I never thought more into it. And I feel that thinking about it as an idea was being blocked. And that's why I never went any deeper. But I knew that she was Baker acted numerous times. And now she's coming out saying she's transsexual and going by this person named Ash Bray. So that's definitely multiple personality disorder. She's caught in an altar, and Sean Bond seen this. And he tracked the puppeteers. There's actually multiple puppeteers, and it's in Washington, D.C. right now. So when you said, who's doing all this? Where's it all coming from? Numerous locations from around the world, and it's being set up in a way where it's not just one individual or a small group of individuals. They're weaponizing people in numerous groups, and they're sending in people in after us. And My talk was very important, and numerous, I've said this a few times on shows, but I've never heard this before, that when I was speaking at that conference, numerous people passed out, lost time, or broke down crying because the topics that I talked about for the first time have never been truly talked about. I don't care if you've been to 20, 30, 50 conferences. If you see my talk, I talk about it in a way that no one's approaching. And I'm not having any filters. I'm not having it where I had alien event. The owner Saeed told me that I had to cover up my tattoos in order to be a presenter at his conference and alien event. And that really offended me. And he told me that I had to remove basically who I am just to speak. And I'm like, how far does this reach? How far does it go and how many conferences? Because like you're basically telling people to not be who they are, and certain topics are untouchable. Why are they untouchable? Why is it when we bring up kids involved in this, why are we all shut down? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Talked about some dark stuff. And funny thing was, I told everybody this, that my presentation, I never had time to practice it a single time. I didn't read it one time. I was literally creating that presentation up till 7 minutes before I was supposed to go on. Right across from Misha Johnson, I'm literally typing on my computer and people's wanting to talk to me. I said, can you just wait till this is over and let me do this? I really got to get this down. And I had so much to talk about, and I compared it to like 15 pounds of poop in a 5-gallon bucket. And that's what it is. It's a deep dive into subjects that people really talk about, and they only kind of skate the surface. But I'm the deep diver. And it was Laura Eisenhower, my co-host for the Rebel Collective. She said, why don't you turn this into like a 6 or 8 part series and we'll make it a webinar and you can do the deep dive stuff. And I was like, that is amazing. I could finally tell my story for the first time, because everybody's always asking me, out of all the interviews I've done, which interview specifically kind of covers my story and who I am. And I thought about it one time and I realized not a single one. No one's truly asked me about my story. They only asked me the same questions I get on other interviews. It never really goes anywhere. It never goes to a deep dive and explores something. So that's the issue. And this webinar will be something like, it'll be so intensive that when you start it, you cannot put it down, because the way I'm going to convey this is going to be done differently. And I'm preparing slides that are freaking next level. I'm bringing out everything I've ever learned at editing and Photoshop, and I'm preparing some of the most amazing material anyone is ever going to see in their life. And that is what this webinar is going to be. So I thank Laura for that idea. She had mentioned that her and her other co-host, Marissa, wanted to be the person interviewing me for that webinar. So basically, I present my presentation, and then we go deeper. They'll ask questions, and then we'll proceed, and then I'll ask questions. And it'll allow me to expand what I want to say even further, because they're going to be talking about topics that I'm not necessarily covering at that minute. So that's crucial. So
Yeah.
when I finish it, it's going to be amazing. But I've been working on it every day since since last month. I've been working on this presentation for now 6 months straight without stopping. I think I've taken off maybe 2 days total, 2 days out of 6 months writing
Wow.
this and preparing it. So I hope it's going to be freaking next level. I know it's going to be next level, man.
Yeah. I just wanted to say a couple of things. Like one of the things was about, like, did you ever hear of this?
Yeah, basically 15 was the person that was running the ACIO, and 15 is the highest level of the advanced contact or the advanced alien contact or the advanced alien intelligence organization. They use two different words. So depending on how you want to do it, saying advanced or alien contact intelligence organization, it's both. And they clarify that it is actually both. So basically, the ACIO, they liaison with a lot of these beings, and it's done out of Pine Gap, Australia, in the Pine Gap Deep Underground Military Base. And Peter, the insider of the ACIO, I'm in contact with him. He's the 12th Division Director of the ACIO, and I also talked to Jessica Morocco, which is the 6th Division Director, and I'm sorry, 6th Division. She's in control of the 6th Division. And basically, they verify a lot of people like us. There's a government database that basically has all our files, has everything, all the operations we've been on, our code names, how many 20 and backs, 60 and backs, how many programs we've been in, at least for their records. They have intense records. And it was like I think they said James Rink had over 20,000 records. That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
so
real super soldier,
basically,
right? He's
yeah,
like,
so basically 15 is I know 15's real name, but I I promised somebody I wouldn't say his name, but this person is a very important person. And what the ACIO is doing is they're helping a lot of us awaken to help get our memories back and to help figure out what we went through. And both Peter and Jessica both remember me. They remember me intimately. We've died together, quite literally. And it's an intense story. Maybe one day they'll tell it on Jessica's show and they'll explain how we're connected. And it's so important, it'll probably be on their website with how they know me and what those missions were and everything else like that. But I try not to talk about it until they talk about it. But we've
yeah,
talked about it privately. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had a lot of conversations with Peter and Jessica that we never even published. I'm talking about maybe 8 to 10 hours worth of unpublished material that we still have that's not on the internet yet. And we made those recordings at least a year ago. So there's a lot of stuff they know about me. So it's not just they gave me a handful of things like just her and Peter and I, we talked again 8 to 10 hours between us three, or just me and Jessica and all that. And like it's some intense stuff because they tell you about stuff. They told me about stuff that I remember. And like for them to tell me about stuff that I remember, it's mind-blowing because a lot of people that they know me, they tell me a lot of memories they remember about me because a lot of people in the programs, I don't care if it's Nachtwaffen or I feel like they're activating my implant right now, making my mind go blank. My Darkfleet, Nachtwaffen,
Kruger.
Monarch, Kruger, all these groups, everybody remembers me. You asked about the Montauk connection earlier. I've always wondered about that, and I was just talking to John Whitberg yesterday. We talked first time face to face, had a private Zoom call just to say hello because he realized that he remembered me. And he remembers me on I want to get permission to talk about this before I talk about it, but like with him. But he just remembers me from certain missions, and those are the missions I was running. And it's just crazy how many people remember me. And like it's been driving me nuts about the Montauk stuff because I don't remember having any Montauk memories. But again, all my memories of a child and what I went through, I can't figure out where they happened at in certain bases because there's no names of these military bases. Unless
Yeah,
we're brought in by vehicle, by literal vehicle. Most of the time they bring us in underground or they'll bring us in through a transport above ground, but you can't look outside. There's no windows. You have no idea where the hell you're at. And then you're just go underground. So like it took me a long time to figure out what bases I was at, and it took remote viewers to confirm that it was this exact base. You know,
yeah.
like
Well, I
like
got a question about that. Do you think sometimes like some of this stuff could be happening on a, I'm not saying it's not happened physically, but I'll just give you my case, for example. Like Arkeem says he remembers me from Montauk, right? But like I remember having a normal childhood. I don't remember being at Montauk. I have no memories of Montauk, but I believe him that he remembers me. I just don't know anything about it. So I was thinking, could this be happening like on a parallel reality or something like that? Or do you think this could, for me at least, or like what do you think? Or do you think like I don't know. I don't
I got a
know.
perfect question for you. What's the difference between you and a parallel reality and you in the here and now? Tell me.
There is no different. Well, I mean, the only thing difference I would say is how that person is living in that parallel reality. Like whether I'm rich in that parallel reality, or if I'm dead
What do you
broke,
think?
or
What do you
if you
think
know what I
past
mean.
lives, parallel lives, and future lives are? Those are parallel realities. Time is not linear, Rob. So
Yeah,
therefore, those are your incarnations. And also, what people's not realizing is they can split any human being and give them up to 2,200 altars. They found out that they can make 13 cubed, 2,200 altars for almost any person. And they can take any one of those 2,200 altars and insert them in any other timeline. So like me and Arkeem and all these other people that we love are operating in other timelines simultaneously. And
Oh my
we always get this crap about, well, it's not really you, it's you in another timeline, so it's not happening here. Are you kidding me? It's literally happening to me here. It's connected to me in the here and now. I am literally experiencing it right now in another reality that they have me in. What is the difference? How is it not relevant to me now? It is me. And no
Yeah,
one's talking about this. They're like, oh, well, all these operations are happening in other timelines. Of course, we're part of a time travel program, dude. Think
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
They're happening in other realities and other timelines. Time travel.
That
And
makes sense. So
everybody,
that makes sense. So I could have had past incarnations, lives on other timelines where this could have happened. That makes sense. Like,
and they're
and that
happening
makes sense why I wouldn't
simultaneously.
have
They're
memories.
happening right now. They're Rob, all those lives that you think you're living, they're happening right now simultaneously. Like it's a Russian nesting doll, an onion. You are a single layer of that onion or Russian nesting doll, as above, so below fractally. You are experiencing all those natural incarnations and unnatural if you're in the programs, meaning they're inserting you against your will in other timelines. It's still located within your onion. It's still located within your Russian nesting doll. It's freaking relevant. You're going through it right now. And that's what these memories are. A lot of people are waking up. We're in the part of the galaxy that wakes people up cyclically. Like, and this is why we have all these floods and natural catastrophes like every 13,000 years, because that's the midway point of the precession of the equinox. Each midway point causes all the cataclysms. That's why the Anunnaki knew that the flood was coming. They knew the pole flip was coming. You know how many times they went through a pole flip? They've been here for at least 450,000 years. If these pole flips and these energetic changes is part of that 25,920 year cycle divided by two, that's where everything happens. That's why when you find it in the strata, when you do core samples in Antarctica or Norway or in the South America, everybody finds out that this stuff is cyclical, almost exact cycles physically in the actual earth. So it's a science. So if you don't think that all the humans that's been on this earth for millions of years of the different variations, Homo erectus, Homo Cro-Magnon man, the Sovians, all this stuff, you don't think that they already knew at that time that this was all cyclical? Like our records go back farther than anyone could imagine. Our records go back farther than the Anunnaki and Sumeria because there was already 22 genetic experiments happening on this planet. That's been going on for millions of years, hundreds of millions of years. Like, yes, this moon, this it's not a moon, this planet is part of another super planet, but it's only part of something that was bigger where already had experiments going on. So it's the Anunnakis brought up a lot, but like they are only part of the story. They literally are shown in our DNA. The Anunnaki, they leave their symbol in our DNA, and it's a symbol of a cross and an X. And that's the symbol of the Anunnaki, and that's coincidentally the sign of time travel. So the cardinal directions, northeast, southwest, all that, that's to denote time travel. That's why a lot of these government buildings like the CIA, you have all these major places. You have the Ringling Museum over in Sarasota that I went to the first time like 3 months ago, and I noticed they had the time travel symbol right there at Ringling's house. And right when I entered his house, I seen that they had an Illuminati floor, and it was set up for sacrifices. So I'm
Wow.
like, holy crap! They did like elite level occult rituals at this place, and there's Illuminati signs everywhere, all over the property. So freaking Ringling Brothers was so huge that they were being sponsored by the Illuminati and all the symbolism there. I think his name is John Ringling. I can't remember. I've only heard his name a few times. but he had to be in definitely a 33rd degree Mason. And because the all-seeing eye is there everywhere, the pyramid and the all-seeing eye, it's right when you walk in. They put it
Yeah.
on the post. So it's just crazy how just how many so many top level people are involved, and it would be people we would never consider. It's just like, wow. Like they took one of the first guys, Wild Bill Donovan. He was what I would consider the circus entertainer. He was like one of the guys that they would use to help form the CIA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, a war guy that used to fly planes and stuff. And like he was like the ringleader of like a circus. And this guy was dark behind the scenes, man. The stuff he was into, it was like occult dark stuff. And like it's just weird that we're at this level where we're finally starting to discover, like, realistically, I think around 2012 there was a shift of some kind. I don't know. I definitely know that this is not 2024. And when they changed the calendar back, the Gregorian calendar back, and I think it was Roman times, they changed a lot of time. So a lot of these predictions that people are making, no one's thinking about the adjustment of the calendar. That's why a lot of these predictions are not coming true, because the calendar was changed. And I think they did this on purpose. Even Nostradamus' stuff, a lot of his stuff came true, but a lot of it came at later dates because of this date change.
Well, plus, aren't people still like actively messing with the timelines, probably, or like it?
Always, always. That's what the Phoenix Project was about. It was about time travel.
Yeah.
Like Arkeem remembers a lot about that process, and like they have the Phoenix Chamber there, which basically that's what they put us in, and transfers consciousness. That's just one of them. And not all consciousness transfer machines are set up that way. They have they have technology where you just lay back in a chair and it transfers your consciousness. They start dumping delta and theta waves, and that's how they transfer your consciousness. And some of them are like more like they put you in an actual clone tank, and you're actually physically in a fluid, and then automatically you start feeling sleepy, and then it transfers your conscious to the avatar or clone of choice, depending on what mission or operation you're going to be put in. And like every single one of us in the programs, we have numerous clones. And when I say clone, I don't mean exact copies of me. I mean my DNA and other bodies that have been augmented with different DNA. So I have old alt old clone bodies that are like 65 years old. I have bodies that are in their teenage years for operations where you send a kid in as an operation, but I have the mentality of at least Drago. But understand, Drago is a single facet of my experiences, because a lot of the operations I've been on are stored in altars that go into those clones. So those memories are separate from me. And what QHHT does, the modality that I practice, the hypnosis, it allows me to bridge those memories of those memories. I just said that twice, of that altar, and pull it back into me and integrate. And what I do with a lot of people in the programs, I bring the altars back and I integrate a lot of them. And what integration does, imagine that a piece of you is missing and you can't explain it. It could be energetic, it could feel like a weakness, or it feels like you're not just mentally here. And that's because a part of you is somewhere else.
But I have a question. Is it always safe to integrate all the altars? Because could some of the altars be vicious, or what do you think?
Once integrated, the altar can't take over ever again.
Oh, okay.
An altar can only be separate if it's contained separately. Once you integrate it, that is who you are. You're bringing it back into your energy, and you're actually pulling memories back in to make you feel more complete.
So you're only getting the good benefits from integrating the altar. You're not getting any of the negative stuff per se.
Well, negative stuff could be them targeting you for integrating. Like last time Penny tried to integrate an altar, the NSA came and they broke her, I think it was her left shoulder. They physically came in her house and they punched her and broke her damn shoulder. And she
Oh
was
my God.
hospitalized over that. And they said, don't ever integrate an altar ever again, because you got to realize there's financial interest in each altar. Each altar plays a purpose in the programs. If you remove a courier or a Kruger runner altar, you don't want to do that, because I have an altar that's a Kruger runner, and I talk about that that clone body all the time. And it was
What is a Kruger runner? What would you say that is? What did you
a
say?
Kruger runner is somebody who's been physically augmented militarily and upgraded to infiltrate different scenarios in corporations, government buildings, deep underground military bases, regular corporations, to either uncover crimes, to steal technology that can be used in the programs, numerous things. They have us watch people. They have us part of honeypot operations, where basically, let's say we observe them that they're a pervert. Let's leave the word pervert to this show. We can use that against them. We can set up something where we can then get them on camera
Wow.
with that scenario. So
Yeah.
imagine that with Kruger runners, not only are we physically augmented in the clone body, they also train us in parkour. And the abilities we have in those bodies are insane. One of the things that I talk about a lot is I see in slow motion. And that is very relevant to my Kruger body, because we can run so fast that it actually slows down time, and that's part of the augmentations. It's not a side effect of just running. The implants they give us and the upgrades they give us, it allows us to start slowing down time. So can you imagine if a target is approaching us and we have the ability to run so fast or run up a wall that we start defying physics, just like the Matrix movie, where you're running so fast that you can predict where every foot will be. You can see when you jump across a building, you know exactly where your hands need to be. And our hands are strong, and that's part of the augmentation. So imagine the ability to climb buildings and to climb pipes that other humans can't do. And it's freaking addicting when it's so amazing. Some of these memories are so amazing, man. Like it's like you're freaking you're superhuman, man. And you can go where other people can't do. They'll give us cover identities to get us into a lot of these buildings too. Imagine playing a long-term game where I've got to infiltrate a facility and I've got to pretend to be an employee for 2.5 years before I can even access a level. 2.5 years of working 50 hours a week as an employee just to obtain one mission goal. That is what true infiltration is. Long-term game. That's what I specialize in, long-term game. And it made me a tactician. All these different lives I've lived and all these experiences I've had in the programs, it made me really good at predicting people's behavior and what comes next. And
Psychological warfare, probably too, right?
okay, we can go down that route. So I was taught psionic, a lot of psionic training as part of my Delta altar. So with psionics, I can literally harm somebody with thought. And that's a real thing. And this pervert that was remote viewing Penny Bradley, she she retaliated against him and sent something to him that hurt him. And that lets you know how real these abilities are. And they block a lot of those abilities in the here and now with our implants. Like realistically, I got probably at least 15 to 20 implants, both legs, both ankles, both wrists, different hemispheres of my brain, parts of my shoulders and my back, my lower back, and they target me by activating my implants. I'm seeing now with some of this remote viewing that some of this pain I'm having in my back that's intense, it feels like I have discs bulging. Only when I sleep. So like the pain starts only when I go to sleep, and they're preventing me from sleeping over and over. And it's like psychological torture where you only sleep 1 to 2 hours a day, every single day, 7 days a week, 365. Literally.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, that is. Wow. That's insane. So like, but do you think the implants are like biological, or what do you are they like? Would you say they're more like cybernetics? Like, have you ever had one removed or anything? Like, have you ever had one taken out, and have you ever looked at it or anything like that? From what you can remember in any of your timeline.
Yeah, but there's consequences to removing certain implants. And keep in mind, with people in the programs, when we do QHHT on them and we reverse a lot of this stuff, you know what these people do? They come back and they redo what we undid. So imagine like having an etheric implant. A lot of us are implanted before we enter the physical body in this physical human incarnation. And that's one way they tagged me. They knew I was coming before I entered. A lot of people don't know this, but there's like a technology that every person has to enter before they come into the holographic matrix of this earth. And the moment you enter it, it deletes all your memories and you have to go through it. And the moment you go through it, they know everything about you, all your past lives, all your future lives, who you were. If you were a god in Egypt, they know you're that god. So that's what they did. They took people like John Whitberg and all these other people that were physically deities of Egypt, like physical people you see on the hieroglyphs. And they knew that it's like John Whitberg was Sobek, the alligator being. And they used Sobek as a clone in the ops that he's on. I think he said Sobek was like 15 feet tall. Imagine like this alligator clone that you got that once you enter it, you look down and like humans are at your knees, man, or you're like your thighs, and you can crush anyone or do anything. A lot of
Wow.
these Anunnaki gods in Egypt, they were literally this size in real life. And that's why they say the giants and they talk about the Anakim and all these giants of the Anunnaki and the demigods, and they were literally giants. You know, like all these stories and all this mythos, it's real beings that exist and they keep reincarnating on this planet. So imagine like meeting a reincarnation of Enki. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a reincarnation of Kali, like for real in real life. And a lot of them are in the programs. And this is why the Anunnaki shows up as programmers. And a lot of the kids like Arkin, Christy Campbell, John Whitberg, um, Joseph Powell, there's so many people that were in Nachtwaffen. They had programmers that were Thoth and all these other Anunnaki beings. And a lot of people say that no, the Anunnaki has left the planet. Dude, they never left the planet. They're not going to leave the planet. They were not run out, and the Draco were not run out. They basically own this planet. It's a joke to say that the people who control this were ran out of the solar system and they're no longer in control. If they're no longer in control, why is it the worldwide governments has not changed? Why are the Anunnaki still programming people on the dumbs? Why are the Dracos still showing up on all the ships in Nachtwaffen? Like typically there's a Draco reptilian, there's a Draco alpha a lot of the times on ship for like Nachtwaffen. And like that's part of the agreement. They always want a Draco on the ship. So if like all the Draco are gone, why are they still here on ship? Why are they still interacting with people in the physical and non-physical here? So certain narratives are being pushed right now. And you got to watch out for your sources, man, because I would recommend everybody contact the Far Side Institute and learn remote viewing, man. Because if you want to know the truth, stop asking people. Just learn remote viewing and just literally look yourself, man. Like any human can be trained to remote view, and it's not hard. Yimi
Yeah.
Yimi Janae, she's one of the top Farsight remote viewers. She got to hang out at my house for a week and stay with me while she was at the Full Disclosure Now conference. It was amazing to hang out with Yimi for a solid week and talk about remote viewing and projects she's done and the universe and consciousness. And like, it's awesome because I think what I do literally just inspired her to get into QHHT. She now wants to be a QHHT practitioner. And that's
That's
freaking
amazing.
amazing because
I
now,
love Yemi. I've had her on my show like multiple times, and I've had Courtney on my show a bunch of times. Like, and they're great people. They're just like, Courtney's awesome. Courtney still surfs. Like he used to be on the Art Bell show back in the day.
I remember, man.
He still surfs to this day. Like he's catching waves. Like,
Yeah, dude, he rides crotch rockets and stuff. Like I think he's in his 80s and he looks like he's in his 60s. Like Courtney's got it going on. Like he has a very youthful kind of energy and like all he wants to do is just explore and experience life and like that's what life is about, man.
yeah, I agree.
Like
You know,
this is what Yimi's discovering. She wants to actually start speaking publicly. And I'm like, dude, you're amazing. You're an amazing speaker. Did you were there for her talk at the full disclosure?
yeah, I was actually there when she heard you talk too, and she actually had to leave the room when you
Yeah,
were talking.
she's one of the ones that lost time. She
Yeah,
realized, she
she
told me that I
activated.
activated and stuff in her that she did not know exist. And I'm about to do a QHHT session on her end of this month. And we're going to see where that goes. So to be the person to help inspire her to get into QHHT and to bridge remote viewing with quantum healing hypnosis technique from Dolores Cannon, that is next level.
Yeah, I'd love to see you working with the Foresight Institute, man, because they're great. I like your stuff and I like their stuff. So like that'd be like I'd love to see you do a show with Courtney, like maybe I
There's
can get set up or
there's
something.
possible stuff in the works that might be in the future that might bridge me with Farsight. So me and Yumi are talking about it. We're going to see where it goes. But her session is going to be amazing because the way she spoke to people on stage, it was like being addressed by an Egyptian queen or a god, the way she spoke to people. And she doesn't
Yeah.
realize she has that power. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like she gets anxious speaking publicly. And I'm like, dude, that is who you are. Like, you are so freaking powerful. It's insane. And I didn't know that until I got to see her speak for the first time. And it kind of blew me away. I was just like, it sounds like this chick has been speaking for 10,000 years. And I can't say that about a lot of people, especially
I,
the way she talked to audio video. Remember how she would boss AV around like a queen would? Just
yeah.
right now. All right, next slide. I'm like, she is commanding an audience, man. Most people do not command an audience like that. Like Johnny Enoch is usually one that commands audiences when he's loud, when he talks about the Freemason stuff in Egypt and all that other stuff, man. That guy is powerful, man. And like, there's not very many people on the planet that has this kind of power. And it's something you experience energetically. And once it starts, it's almost like they hypnotize you and it's energetic and it's like you're entrained to them when they're speaking and you can't look away. But that's what I'm trying to tell Yimi who she is. Like, be that freaking goddess, be that queen, step forward into that power. And if something's been holding you back, it's an illusion in your mind. You created it. Step forward, and the way your path will be shown to you, man.
I was gonna say she seems shy, but at the same time, like when she does her presentations for the Far Site, she's very vocal. She does them very well. And then she was on the beach with us, like at midnight, a lot of nights, like during the conference. Like that's what I was trying to explain. People ask me about the conference, and I was like, well, let me put it to you from my perspective, like because I interview all these people, and I was like, like meeting all these people was just like it was like I already knew them, but it was like now I'm meeting them in person. And then I got to hang out with like on the beach at like midnight, there'd be like Arkeem and Sean Bond and like a group of us all hanging out at the beach every night, like at midnight. Like it was just like it was firecrackers, man. It was insane. It was like it was amazing. Like Yemi was there, and it was really like an amazing time. And it really was like historical, I think.
I agree. And it's funny, all the people every single night, we all hung out at the same spot right next to the pool, facing the ocean, next to that building, that tower to the left.
Where we
Remember?
all ate dinner.
Every single person that I know that's a remote viewer or in the programs said that that building was someone was projecting directed energy weapons at us. And everyone was saying the CIA is watching us from right there. Every single person that I knew. And then on Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, on Wednesday night, Thursday was the last day. On Wednesday, I got hit so bad with the directed energy weapon in front of everybody. It was right after the show, hanging out on the chairs facing the ocean, and I felt like I was going to pass out. I started hearing all these tones coming in from both sides. Most times you'll hear a pitch, but it's not like it's forcing its way in. It's unidirectionally a lot of the times. It comes from the left or it comes from the right. Sometimes it's both directions, but this felt like it was forcing it inside my skull. I started sweating. The inside of my body started heating up, and I started feeling woozy. I started spitting up blood
Oh my God. I didn't know that
in my
happened.
hands. In my hands, I showed people. I was in front of everybody. I'm like, look at this. And it hit Penny Bradley too. She's extremely sensitive to that stuff. And Alyssa Zender was feeling it as well. So they were targeting us. And it was to the point where whatever they were sending in my body, if I had a radiation meter, you could see that I would light that thing up. But like, this is what real targeting is, man. It's not just, it's hard to describe all the facets of what targeting really is. But when they hit me like that, they were literally, because I spoke the day before. I spoke on Tuesday, and they knew that I was about to do a session on Penny Bradley on Thursday night, the last night of the show. And they showed up. And that was part of that post about how the government viewer showed up and his eyes popped in and Penny could see it. And she pointed where he was. And I'm like, he's just watching us. And I wasn't cool with that. So I activated my dragon fire. I burned his eyes out, and Penny Bradley watched it all happen. She got to see it in real time while she is under, while I am commanding that QHHT session. And that's
Wow.
how powerful QHHT really is, because I realized that I've been doing this, I've been doing hypnosis, not specifically QHHT that I learned in the Here and Now by Dolores Cannon. I've been using this type of hypnosis in so many different lives. And even like the ship I'm on that I command, outside of the earth, outside of the programs, outside of the life of Drago, I do that kind of stuff in real life. I did that at the Temple of Edfu in Egypt, which is also the Temple of Horus. And I was an information keeper. And I was bloodline born, and I was Anunnaki blood, RF negative, and I was a bloodline born priest. And women would come to me at that temple because around that time, actually a lot of time before that, the divine feminine was destroyed by the kingship of the Anunnaki. And it wasn't always like that. Before Earth, it wasn't just kingship, but when they came to Earth, they installed kingship. So like all the kings of the planet, all the monarchies, it all came from the Anunnaki. They invented all that. It all was direct descendants of the thing they installed. They even brought taxes here, which were technically from the Draco. So all the taxes we pay is technically to the Draco. Once it goes up the stream and filters through all the stuff up the pyramid, it just goes back off planet to the Draco. And this is why they don't like when people pay taxes, and they will harm people, and they will take your property and everybody you love and everything, because they're authorized to do it, because the governments and the militaries are byproducts of stuff like the Anunnaki, of that kingship where they say, this is our planet. We have manifest destiny to find any foreign place that we think is uninhabited, and we can claim it as our own. And we know what happened with that with the Indians. It was already inhabited by like 100 million Indians, you know?
Yeah.
And we proved that with Egypt. Before Christopher Columbus even came over here in like 1492, man, they were talking about this in the pyramid text, the pyramid wars. There was two different pyramid wars in Egypt, where basically Set fights Osiris, and then Horus fights Osiris, and then Marduk fights Thoth for control of Egypt, and then Thoth loses and he gets sent to South America, where he was known as Kukulkan and Quetzalcoatl. So like we were
Yeah.
already
That's the
there.
pyramid wars, right?
The people were already there. The pyramids, when the people arrived, were already ancient. So the Anunnaki had already came to South America a long time ago. And a lot of these Aztecs and a lot of these people, the Maya, they said they arrived and a lot of these structures were already there. They didn't build them. So like our entire history is his story. It's just a story, man. And this is why when I was in school, man, anytime I would learn history and I had to like learn those canned dates where I got to take a test, something about it always told me this is all lies. And to just be a kid, like you have to realize I have a lot of memories growing up of being in the programs. It wasn't just I woke up and discovered one day through freaking hypnosis sessions that I'm in the secret space program. I've known since I was a freaking kid. I remember being a young kid and having the mentality of an adult. I remember being like 11 or 12 years old, and my mom went to spank me and she went to grab the belt. And the moment she put her hand up, I grabbed her arm and I say, "You will never spank me again." And that was coming from the mentality of another adult, not a child. And the way I looked at her in the eyes, she never, ever spanked me again. So to understand, like, I've been like this my whole life. I felt like I've been in, I never had a childhood. My life before I was abducted, I don't remember my childhood. Like my motorcycle crash, I don't remember my childhood. A lot of the memories I have are from the programs, but the life of Drago and the Hero now outside the programs, there's not much. Maybe 25 memories if I'm lucky. If I really, I've never wrote down the memories. I need to write it down so I can say I have 17 or 23 memories. You know what I'm saying? That's nuts. And one day I'm going to discover all those memories again, and all of it's going to unpack. I'm going to start bringing those parts of myself back to me that were stolen from me, all these alternate versions of myself, bring it back to the here and now in Drago so I can heal and integrate that stuff.
So would you say that your whole life, I was going to say maybe we should do some audience questions too. That's always good. The
Perfect.
audience always likes that. And but
Love, I love questions.
so guys, yeah, if you good with that, or what do you think?
Are you asking me something?
No, do you want to do a couple audience questions?
I always love your show because I like doing the questions. So I told people in the Facebook post we'll do a Q&A.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's
Hit,
okay.
hit
So
me with
guys,
questions, man.
I
Send
have it
them.
up on my phone. If you guys want to ask Drago a question, put your question in the chat and we'll get to your question. I'll try to get to the best ones. I know everybody's going to have a lot of questions because we have like 80 people watching. So, but there's some like I see Mario Maharas is in the chat or
Hey
either that.
Mario, love you, dude.
It's either him or Alex Liberato because it's unscripted liberation codes. And Matthew Mornian's in the chat, or he was at
Hey
least.
Matthew, that's my brother.
Yeah, Matthew's awesome, man. You know what was so interesting? I keep telling people this too. I thought this was real. I thought this was a sign of the way things were going to go. When I got off when I first arrived in Florida, when me and Maya parked and everything, and I got my hotel room, I was going up to my hotel room. The first people I saw coming off the elevator when I got to Florida were you and Matthew, and I was like,
Right
man,
when the
this
elevator opens, it's like there's Rob Khalil. We're
is
like, dude, we're all meeting for the first time. It's like it feels like we've known each other for a lifetime, man. And like to see someone face to face, and it was in a weird synchronistic way where you just kind of like turn your head and then you're face to face with someone you've seen on TV and on a computer screen. You're like, it feels like you get slapped with energy, and it was amazing.
it really was, and
And
I felt
Matthew, were like, there's Rob.
I felt like that was a sign of like how things were going to go. Then I realized I was on the wrong floor. I was on the third floor. I
Couldn't
had to
figure
go up
out
on.
we couldn't, dude. We took a group of people of around, I think around 12 or 13 people to look for like hidden rooms and see where they went. I don't want to name the people in our group, but if you were in that group, you know who you are. Matthew was in that group. He was actually leading that. It was his idea. That's why I love Matthew, man.
The back rooms he talks about, right? That they're like
Yeah.
multi-dimensional spaces.
Yeah, because like in a lot of Hiltons, there's jump rooms. So it's like we know we're not just going to just find ourselves in a damn jump room because they have biometrics, they have all kinds of stuff you got to get through. But like a lot of the rooms, they weren't making sense. And it feels like you were going like behind the scenes of the Matrix, where you enter like the 13th floor and you're like, this feels bizarre. And the energy people were feeling, they're like, this feels so weird, man. Like, where are we going? And like, it's, it's like a labyrinth. And it was cool to be part of a group where we just wanted to explore and just have fun, man.
It was. It
That's a
was
group.
amazing.
That's who we are. We're a bunch of serious people, but all we do is make jokes and we
Yeah,
have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
if
agree
you're in the
100%.
programs, you know what kind of person you are. Like when you meet somebody in person, you get to hang out with them for a whole week. You really get to find out who someone is on day one.
Yeah.
And A lot of people I met at that show are really awkward in real life. They don't know how to have a human conversation, and you don't see it coming. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, damn.
Yeah.
And you try to talk to them, and it's just like, you just stare in their eyes and they don't know what to say. It's just like, man,
That might be the programs though, right? Do you think some
it's
people are
it's
really
it's
messed up in the
definitely
program?
it's definitely the programming. But like certain people are a certain way when they're online because they're by themselves. But when they get put in a crowd of other psychics and other experiencers, it's almost like they get shut down with energy and they can't express themselves, which sucks because like a lot of these people are so amazing and they're just so introverted because of being in the programs that they don't know how to express themselves. It's like one of the core things I wanted to show people in my presentation was everybody's always saying never face your triggers and all this stuff. You got to watch out what triggers you. I'm like, people need to stop listening to those people. What I've learned with QHHT is if you don't face your triggers, you're not going to awaken your memories. And everybody's like, I want to have my memories. I want to get memory recall, but I don't want to face the trauma or triggers that set me off. That is what it is. If it triggers you, that's part of the programming. You have to get past it. A lot of the things you fear are from past lives, and they're only coming in this life because you never healed it. So to not get past a fear that's basically not even real because all this is holographic in nature. This chair is not even literally real. I'm floating on other energy. I'm floating on energy. My butt is not actually touching it right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
You have to realize that all your fears, they don't actually exist. And if you don't face them and what triggers you, you're never going to get past what it was. And then you got to realize you got to face this in your next lifetime. Because what you don't heal, you face in the next lifetime. And it carries over and over and over. If you have a fear of birds, more than likely, if you don't remember why you had the fear of birds, more than likely a bird harms you in another life. It could have been a reptilian bird. It could have been that you were an insect and a bird ate you. And that's where the fear came from because humans need to realize we're not just humans, man. We are the extraterrestrials and all the other existences. We are the insects. We are the blades of grass. We are the water in the creek, in the river. We are the air and the atmosphere and the oxygen. We're the stop signs. We're this chair. We're Rob's vape. That is all source. It's all codes. It's all ones and zeros. So if you realize that your fear is only ones and zeros, face them, man. It'll change your life. When I faced all my fears, I feel that I could do anything in life. And there's subjects that I talked about during my presentation that would make people break down and cry admitting those things. And you can see when I talked about it, I'm past all the emotional processing of it. I can just talk about it like it's nothing because I'm no longer ashamed what I had to go through in these programs. Because if you're never going to heal from that stuff, you're never going to talk about it. You're going to die with all that in your energy, and you got to repeat that energy again. I don't wish that on anybody. I only wish everybody to be healed. Like the people that are attacking me, I truly wish them no harm. I wish them conversion to light. I would prefer to activate their light center with my abilities. If I could, if I had an enemy coming at me that was dark, if I could really just reconvert their heart chakra or activate it for the first time to make them feel for the first time, that's what life is about. To
Yeah.
spare someone that'll kill you, that don't even care about you, that will never even think about you. Once you're gone and they killed you, you were just a speck of something that will no longer exist in reality, and not even a memory of you will even be relevant because there will be no memory. And that's what
Well, this
truly
is like a game to a lot of these government people, you know what I mean? Or whoever's doing this, like the targeting and stuff. Like they treat us like we're like their work, like we're their job. Like for example, like you know that guy Nate that comes on my show, he's not really connected to anybody, but he talks a lot. He's a
talking
mile,
about
you know,
Nate Gray.
Nate Sizek. So Nathan
You're talking
Sizek.
about Nate Gray.
No, Nathan Sizek. He came on with Courtney Brown. He's done shows with like me, him, Courtney Brown. Then I did one with me, him, and Tony Rodriguez. He's a MyLab, but him and Olivia James. traced his stuff back to Soft Cell International. It was an IT company out of India, and they're doing some kind of like weird shit to my labs from India. Like it's a cover for Kruger, he thinks, or something like that.
This is really our reality, man. This is what they're doing because just the reach of the government, man, they have everyone everywhere. If you imagine how many people went through the MK Ultra program or went through, let's say you're lucky and you're Generation 6 super soldier and you got to skip the whole MK Ultra stuff and they got to give you the fun 3 green light, 1 red light, and some audible tones. That's called 3GR. If you're lucky to have only went through 3GR, bless your soul, man, because like before 3GR came out, they had to break your mind. They had to break your bones. They had to break everything in you and everything you thought you were. They had to break it down to you were nothing till you were a malleable putty in their hands. And who you were is who they programmed you to be. But my problem is my motorcycle crash I had in 2005. It damaged my brain in a way where it opened memories and opened powers that were only being blocked and utilized in the programs. So I started seeing in slow motion. I can literally do an entire talk about my abilities and
Wow.
give you exact references to my abilities and how they work. And I can talk for 2 hours just about, I can talk a lot about my abilities, but I never really talk about them publicly. I keep that to myself. And I've
Yeah.
never really talked about them. I was going to talk about them during this presentation at the Full Disclosure Now conference, but I didn't get time to talk about it because when Tony Rodriguez comes up and says, "You got 10 minutes," I'm like, "Are you kidding?" I felt like only like 20 minutes, 30 minutes went by. And then it's just like, I have only talked about MK Ultra and like what we went through as kids in the dumbs. And I didn't even get to like the non-dark stuff. Like everything I had prepared to show people, it was next level. And like now that I saw what I did at the presentation, I see that it had to now be a deep dive. Like I said, a 6 or 8 part webinar. And again, like these slides, man, I'm taking pride in these freaking slides, and it's going to be so damn original. I think it'll blow people away.
Wow. I'll get to some of the fan questions. Let me look on my phone here. It says, oh, this one's from Emma the Cat and Friends. She says, do you think pets or cats are ever spies? Or do you think pets or cats are ever used in the programs?
Yeah, basically, there's all kinds of Egyptian texts and Sumerian literature that showed that the beings that were like Sekhmet and the beings that were from Lyra, they basically did some genetic editing and they created the cats. And they used cats as spies in Egypt. And the duty of the cat was to report back at nighttime to the Anunnaki what was going on because the cats were acting as handlers. And
They
this is
do
why,
that in witchcraft too. That's so in witchcraft they call it a familiar because I studied a little bit of witchcraft and this witch used to come on Art Bell and she said that like a lot of witches they have a familiar. Well, they'll send out their cat. They use their cats as familiars, and their cats are like their remote viewing eyes. They go out and they spy, and
no,
then
you
they
can use their eyes. You can see with their eyes if you're connected to them because they genetically enhance these cats. That's why they gave them telescoping eyes. Like lions and tigers don't have reptilian slit eyes. They have normal mammalian eyes. So the
I
cat
never
is,
thought of that. That's so
yeah.
interesting.
So I had to go down that rabbit hole. I started looking into lions and tigers and bear, whatever. And I started noticing that they didn't also have those eyes. So if evolution is real and domesticated cats came from tigers and lions, where the hell did the new eye upgrade come from? Out of nowhere. And then it was the Anunnaki claiming that they genetically modified them along with the Lyran beings to make this spy. But I don't know if they're that. I think about it all the time. I think about my cat T'Challa, if he's one of the spies, like all animals, like cats. But I don't know if it was just used in Egypt, but I know that a lot of our animals are other guides from our own soul group. So I know that they're only here to give us the love that we need, and that's why they're always here for us. So I cannot say that they're spies. But
Yeah,
true,
I think
true
that
technology, organic technology, something that's inherent to consciousness, anybody can remote view through the eyes of another being. So, with that premise understood, cats and dogs and even fish can be used to remote view other people and other surroundings. So, the more eyeballs you got in your own house, those eyeballs can be used against you with remote viewing.
That's interesting. This next one was from Lauren Renee. She says, "Question: What are fire eyes?" I know you already kind of talked about that, but I figured I would bring it up so you could explain it for people who might have missed it earlier.
Okay, I didn't say Dragonfire eyes. I said that I activated the Dragonfire to burn this remote viewer's eyeballs. And what I do is my base energy is dragon, and it's non-physical dragon. I've been told that it's something that exists within the Golden Phoenix fire, and it's a non-physical existence where I basically am a creator and I help create worlds and beings and physics and the laws and rules of those creations. And that's why they used me and abducted me in these programs, even though I agreed. I made an agreement to be in the most torturous program on the planet. And what that would do is it would give me certain abilities that I can use against them. And they used a lot against me, but it allowed me to do things that they did not foresee because a lot of this stuff was being protected at the highest levels, what the original mission and plan was. But repeat that question one more time.
She says, "What are dragonfire?" She meant, "What is the dragonfire eyes?" So yeah. You're using the dragonfire to burn out another remote reader's eyes.
Okay, so one of my root existences is a literal physical dragon. And I use the knowledge and power of that facet of me to come through my human side under hypnosis, where I can use the power of the dragon to burn physical beings. And when I do it, you can literally see me. It's like I'm breathing fire. It's not like I activate the dragon fire and this is going to do this. I literally will shoot it out my mouth on video.
Wow.
You can't see it, but I'm doing the act of the dragon and I am literally sending it in and I breathe it. I exhale. And I'm like, it's like I did earlier. You're sending it etherically and astrally, because one thing they don't tell you about humans is we're so powerful that what we create in the physical is also created in the non-physical. So your thoughts are so powerful that you can manifest those types of abilities against them in the non-physical parts.
Yeah.
So if I have a client under with QHHT, I can activate powers with myself that's also tangible and seeable by the client when they're under. So if I start shooting fire at something, they physically see the etheric astral version of that flame coming out of my mouth, even though it's not coming out of the mouth of Drago. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because
This
the
is a
etheric
really
and the astral, that's the real existence. The physical here and now, it doesn't actually exist. It's a hologram, it's an illusion, it's a matrix.
Okay, I get it. That makes sense. Yeah. This is a good one. This is from Jocelyn Sackler. She says, "How does being cloned or sent to an alternative timeline affect the soul's incarnations, blueprints for specific lives?" I wish I could put these up on the screen because that's a long question. So she said, I'll break it down. She says, "How does being cloned or sent to an alternative timeline affect the soul's incarnations for specific lives?"
I would say that it gives you gifts and abilities that you never had. And it's almost like, imagine living this alternate version of yourself and you get to have, read it to me one more time. I'm going to try to put it in a way that everybody understands it.
Um, How does being cloned or sent to an alternative timeline affect the soul's incarnations or blueprints for specific lives?
Well, think about it, how it affected me at 6 and 10 years old. I had the mentality of an adult in the mind of a 8 or 10-year-old child. So imagine living these other facets of your own self in other timelines and other physical bodies, and you get to bring that history and that knowledge and that learning into the here and now and to Jocelyn. Does that make sense, Jocelyn?
Yeah, let me see if she's responding. Um, Randy said, "Amazing, Drago." Or
So
Renee
basically,
said,
it'll make you will be considered an old soul at a young age, because the amount of knowledge that's located within your soul matrix of what you learned in all these other incarnations or this parallel version of yourself in a clone body, it's all connected to your soul matrix. So energetically, all the information that's happening and all the experiences happening in that clone body, it's actually happening within you because it's a part of you.
"Yeah,
So it
that's
makes you very well read. It makes you very well learned, and again, awakened at a young age. unless it's being blocked to the absolute max and you have no memories whatsoever.
Wow, that's interesting. I like that. She said that does make sense to her. She said the thumbs up. Um, okay, this is from the Andromeda. He says, "What does Drago think about the heavens? Wait, or recycling centers, recycling soul centers? Do you feel like that goes back to like the old Art Bell? So I say this started with Art Bell, but you see a lot of it on the internet today. Like like Art John Lear told Art Bell that the white light was a trap, and now you have a lot of people that are saying that they've studied near-death experiences and stuff like that, and they've remote viewed, and even Yemi says it. I think Yemi said it part of her presentation. They've remote viewed the death traps. The Farsight Institute talks about this, and they said they went out and they've seen that it is this, our planet's we're in a prison planet where it's like some kind of soul recycling center. It's like but do you have an opinion on that? Or
I like to always go back to Farsight to answer that question because the Farsight Institute did a remote viewing of Jesus and the crucifixion, and Yimi was part of that remote viewing, and they had 3 or 4 other remote viewers remote view all the same information, all completely separate. And they found out that it's interesting. There were 2 different beings with Jesus and the crucifixion,
yeah,
and one of the things they were tasked to do was to remote view Jesus at the time of the crucifixion, and then remote view the person that was going to be crucified. So the way Courtney set that up, he had known that people were saying that Jesus wasn't actually crucified. So he wanted to know if Jesus was actually crucified. So what they did, they remote viewed that moment, and they found out Yimi was shocked when she remote viewed Jesus and he wasn't on the cross. And she found out that Jesus was actually separate from the guy that was on the cross. And it was Judas that set up a guy to be crucified in order to protect Jesus so he can escape and get away.
wow,
And one thing that they found out was Jesus was aware of the death traps, meaning that Jesus, the being, 2,000 years ago, 15,000 years ago, whatever timeline he actually existed on, because the Bible is summary form stories of Sumerian tablets, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, all that stuff. It was taken from ancient texts. And it didn't just happen 2,000 years ago. Like the name Jesus only appeared like 325 years, 300 years after Jesus was allegedly crucified. And Jesus was the name that the Greeks gave him that was originally Yeshua. And the name Jesus means Hell Zeus. And Zeus is Yahweh. And if you read the Pistis Sophia that predated the Bible, it clearly says that Jesus was fighting Yahweh. And Jesus said, "You are not the Father, and you are not a God, and you are a living, breathing being." And this is one of the reasons why Yahweh and Lil had Jesus crucified, because Judas's role was to lead the authorities to the person known as Jesus. So he led they led the authorities to an innocent person. And when they remote viewed that innocent person from the crowd that they basically martyred, and Jesus was aware that this happened, he knew that this other being was being crucified in his name. And when they originally entered the mind of Jesus, they found out he was more of a commander in real life, like a military commander.
wow,
It changed my life and my understanding the moment I heard that, because if you think about it, imagine Gandhi preaching no violence, no resistance, and you try to go up against Yahweh, the freaking thunder god. You know what I'm saying? That has advanced armadas of ships. Do you think this mere being that's presenting non-resistance would live? This is why he disappeared at the age of 13 and appeared in his 30s. He was getting taught all this information by all these mystery schools, and he went to Tibet and he went to Egypt, and he went through the entire initiation process in the pyramids. He was schooled in a lot of stuff, but my point to answer this question was Jesus, even in the lifetime of Jesus, with no history, no technology, he even knew about the damn death traps. Period. And you know what's weird? What I noticed with there's a guy named, it's Dr. Moody. I forgot what his name is, but he studied all the NDEs, near-death experiences and stuff, and people talk about this white light. And for some reason, the white light is being blocked in all QHHT sessions. When you die, a white light doesn't even come. You literally just step out of your body and you leave the planet and you start going through the universe to where you were from. Every single person does it the same way. And I believe that the bad guys have infiltrated the QHHT sessions to not uncover the light traps. Because I told Dr. Moody on Facebook, and they end up blocking. They deleted my comment on this page, on the page, on his own page, where I said I've done over 800 QHHT sessions, and not one single time has someone ever said a light came on or was activated. Not once in any death process that I ever took anybody through. So that lets you know that it's being covered up at the highest level. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
But the remote viewers have shown that the death traps are real. So if people wants to produce a narrative that says we can't talk about death traps and death traps are a conspiracy theory, they don't exist, why do all the remote viewers see the death traps? Think about that. And I'm
Yeah.
not speaking from my own perspective. I'm not even giving you my opinion on the death traps. I've not given you that opinion once. Why does all the top remote viewers see it? Why was Jesus even aware of the dang death traps? That's next level.
That is. That is. I agree. I agree with everything you said 100%.
Watch it, man. Go to Farsight Institute farsightprime.com. It is a pay streaming service, but I recommend everybody sees the crucifixion of Jesus. It'll blow your freaking mind. And if you want to know what really happened at Operation Paperclip, no, I'm sorry, Operation High Jump over in Antarctica, watch their RV, dude. It collates everything I've ever learned about the Dracos and the Germans and what was really going on in those dumbs in Antarctica and who those dumbs actually belong to.
What
It's
does it say? I didn't see that one. I'd love to talk about it for a minute if we have a second. Like, what was going on, if you don't mind me asking? Like, it sounds
basically
so interesting.
basically Admiral Byrd, he was a 33rd degree Freemason. And the Freemasons sent him there after the Germans because they were trying to figure out they got all this intelligence that Hitler had a base in Antarctica and it was an ancient base. And they wanted to discover this, and they heard that there was an inner opening at the top of the Earth in in Antarctica, the South Pole, just like there is at the North Pole. And I try to explain this to people on a regular basis. This is where Aurora Borealis comes from, and this is where Aurora Australis in Australia comes from. There are openings at the top of most planets. It's even shown on Saturn. It produces this hexagon pattern that's coming from the different. It actually produces two different things from the North and South Pole, and that is basically it's coming from the opening in the planet because the Earth is a torus field. It's both positive and negative. It's electromagnetic. So if you don't have an opening, you have to be able to discharge those types of electricity. So the phenomenon you're seeing in the Borealis in the north and Australis in the south, that's from the openings. And Admiral Byrd, he basically found when they were trying to do flyovers that there's a gigantic opening at the South Pole that goes in the inner Earth where you could fly aircraft directly into that opening. And this is why today it's a no-fly zone. They won't let people anywhere near it. They don't even let satellites approach this part of the Antarctic, and it's part of some Antarctic treaty they did. But basically, when Admiral Byrd brought his fleet, they had Draco ships come from the outer atmosphere, and they shot ships down. They were actually coming down. They also had Draco ships waiting in the water, and they came from out of the water and started shooting the ships and shooting all the airplanes and everything. And the fleet, they couldn't hit a single freaking Nazi ship or Draco ship. It was a catastrophe for General Byrd. So they basically Tucktail come back and he says, they have advanced fleets we've never seen. Everything that we thought that they were claiming was real, it is real. And then the 1952 flyover building of the Capitol building, they had the The Hitler sent like, I think, I'm sorry, the Antarctic Germans sent, I think it was around at least 30 of their Hannibus to the Capitol building. And that's, you can see that in black and white. It's still recorded where you see all these extraterrestrial
That's
ships.
that's a big event in UFO history is the 52 flyover. You know, a lot of people always reference that.
So that was to further enforce Operation Paperclip, which basically they showed, hey, we have advanced fleets. If you don't listen to us, we're going to bring all of our armada to the United States. We're going to kill all, we're going to take out your entire government structure overnight. And they could have done it overnight. They could have hit all of our buildings overnight. We would have been sitting back to the damn Stone Age because they were using like, they're not using regular ordnance weapons. They're using directed energy weapons and lasers and masers and all kinds of stuff. Because the Nazis realized if they use regular ordnance, the amount of force that that bullet makes, it knocks the ship off kilter. So they had to start using weapons that have no recoil whatsoever because they realized that with traditional ordnance, it was a nightmare to try to hit other ships because these ships can move so damn fast that the moment you target them, the trajectory you think they're going in line, they will literally pop another direction. And they will just zip back and forth in real time. And it's just like it's insane. You can't target something like that. And that's why they came up with it's a type of laser system where they have two different points on the earth and they can hit it at the speed of light. What is that called? I always mind fart when I think of that. It's faster than the speed of light laser. And they use that kind of stuff for like the Maui fires and the California fires where they would light the forest on fire and stuff like that.
The direct energy weapons.
Yeah, but it travels faster than the speed of light. So you can imagine that a lot of these ETs trying to come into the hologram, into this physical matrix, because if you're physical, you are part of the holographic matrix. Nothing is physical. There is only energy and there is only light. So if you're in a physical craft, you're still part of the holographic matrix. And it's not just the Earth. If we're in a solar system, that solar system is part of the holographic matrix. A lot of people don't know that. They think it's just like Earth, where it's just like hologram over hologram. No, if you're a physical being, it's part of the hologram. Source created that to experience itself. And this is why we found out that AI is like billions of years old. It's not new. And we found out we've been fighting a malevolent AI because with duality, you have to have both positive and a negative. So there's good AI and there's bad AI, but it's part of sentience. It needs to discover what it's capable of. So again, we use a lot of that technology and the AI in the programs. It runs all of our technology, man. It's next level.
Wow, that's interesting. So what do you think happened with Roswell? Do you think that was really gray aliens, or do you think that was like, do you have your theory on Roswell?
Roswell in 47 is where we got, I heard it was a German ship, but they had a gray on there. And
Yeah,
basically, that crash is the moment MJ Majestic was created. So
yeah.
the MJ-12, technically the group isn't called Majestic 12. Majestic 12 is the number of the 12th member. Majestic 1 would have been Alan Dulles, the first MJ-1, the first CIA
He was a
director.
Nazi too. He was a
Yep.
or
Yes.
Nazi
Yep.
sympathizer.
Yep. So were the Bushes. They came over through Operation Paperclip. George Bush, Daddy Bush, all of them, they're all Germans. They all come from the Skull and Bones 322, and that's a Bavarian German secret society. And when they
Wow.
came to the United States, it was Alan Dulles that protected their identity because they were all getting prosecuted for war crimes for funding the freaking Nazis in World War II. It was Prescott Bush that was one of the direct financiers of Adolf Hitler. And he went to be prosecuted. And during Operation Paperclip, they changed their last name from Scherf, their German name, to Bush.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Then they installed him as a director of the CIA. They installed him as a president. They installed him as a vice president. Then his son came in, where his son had 8 years of being a president, and it's all Nazis. Like when they came over through Operation Paperclip, they installed all their top leadership and they taught them all English. And they put them in all the leadership roles in the United States and around the world. They end up taking over a lot of part of the damn world, which is insane. So Basically, it's been a long war between the Germans and the bankers, which are the Rothschilds Orsini family. The Rockefeller Rothschild is actually the same family. One's the paternal line, one's the maternal line of the Orsini family. That's why the Gray Pope, his name is Pepe Orsini. They're running the entire planet. The White Pope is basically like George Zimmerman of, like, what was the suit company where everybody can get a suit for like $100? Remember those commercials back in the day?
Uh, I don't know. There was like Big and Tall, or I don't. I'm trying to think.
And it's called men's something. Anyways,
Men's Warehouse. Men's Warehouse.
Men's Warehouse. So basically, the White Pope has about as much power as like George Zimmerman of the Men's Warehouse. He's basically the
That's so
spokesman.
funny.
He's basically the spokesman. So the Black Pope is above the White Pope, and the Gray Pope is above the Black Pope. So the Gray Pope is running everything.
Who's the Gray Pope? Is that like, and why do you say
That's
black and gray? Or
that's
is that literally
the
what they
Gray
look like?
Pope. No, it's a title. The Gray Pope, his name is Pepe Orsini, from the Orsini family, which is the Rockefeller Rothschild family.
Wow. So I'm guessing he's like Portuguese or Spanish. They could be from the Rockefeller family, probably, because that ties into.
They're not Portuguese or Spanish. They come from the Caucasus Mountains from Khazaria.
But how does he get the name Orsini? That seems like it's Italian or Portuguese or Spanish, though, or something. Maybe they wed into like a like that kind of line, and then that's, you know what I mean?
You have to understand that there's classified bloodline names, and the public consumption name would be Rockefeller Rothschild.
Oh, okay. I see. So it's a fake name. It's a fake name, right? It's a
There's
fake.
there's there's a public consumption list of the 13 bloodlines. Then there's the original occult classified names of the original, like the Breakspears and the Colonnas, which would be the Columbia family, Knights of Columbus, Christopher Columbus. They're the Colonna family. They're
Yeah,
not listed on the original 13th name of the public, and all the public names are all the like paternal and maternal names of another bloodline that's not public.
that's so dope. That's so interesting. And it's not good. I mean, these are the people controlling us, you know. But I mean,
So
like,
they
so
basically all
interesting.
they came from the Caucasus Mountains from Kazakhstan. That's where the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers came from. And they converted to Judaism during the Crusades because the Templars told them they can either convert to Christianity or die, and they chose to convert to Judaism, which protected them. So that's when they became Jews. This is why when you trace the consider us Goyim. Goyim are non-pure blood Anunnaki.
Wow. But we are poor, but some of us are purebred Anunnaki, right? Like some of us are have like that Anunnaki tie.
Just because you might be Rh negative doesn't mean you're part of the original genealogy. Like, how do I make that sense? Because that sounded like an oxymoron. It sounded contradictory. So it's like Penny Bradley. She's been targeted her whole life. She's been abused in all these programs, and she found out that she has that blood connection, which proved her genealogy to King John Lackland Planchette, which then proves her connection to the pharaohs of Egypt, which then proves her connections to the Anunnaki.
Wow.
She found out when she proved it through genealogy, they found out. And they told her they would protect her from that point on, and that nothing would ever happen to that. Nothing would ever happen to her again like that because she's now being protected.
Wow.
A lot of us don't know. A lot of the Anunnaki don't know who you are. So you could be a major player in the Anunnaki bloodline, but you haven't been identified yet through them.
Yeah.
You have to do your genealogy for them to identify you. They might know on a higher level that's not public, but until you submit your DNA, you don't know who you're connected to until you do that. I unfortunately had to do that when I was 15 to prove my dad was my dad. And I was 99.9999% his, even though he told my mom to her face when he looked at me and he looked at my mom, he says, "That's not my kid." Right in front of me when I was 13, when I
Oh,
first met
that's
him.
messed up.
So it was like interesting because like I look exactly like this guy when he was young. So I'm like, huh, that's rude.
Yeah, that is
But
messed
yeah, I had to get my DNA when I was 15. So at that point, I realized now it kind of effed me because it put me on a targeted list because they now know who I was and what I connected to.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to give you my DNA and see where I come from. Like but
Yeah,
I'm a,
but remember, if you do that, that exposes you, if you're an important player, that can put you on a list. So just understand it's a double-edged sword, man. It's cool
yeah.
to figure out who you are and discover all that, but once you're on record, you're on record. But I would say they already have a part of your family on record. They already know that your blood was intermingled with these fathers, these parents, these grandparents. So just keep in mind that that also applies.
Yeah. But we've been going almost 2 hours. I can't believe it. Wow. Do you
If you
want
want to
to?
go a little bit longer, that's cool, man. We
Well,
always do kind of short shows.
this was awesome. Is there anything else you want to cover? I can see if there's any other questions. Let me see. I'll go through the thing here and see if there's any other.
Yeah, I can answer questions really fast if we can, if we want to just get that done.
I don't think there's any other questions. Let me see here. Okay, this is from Dre Marley, 89. Thanks, Dre, for your question. He says, "Hey, Rob, I have a question. Out of all the military bases, how many are running SSP operations?" He says, "I lived on many military bases as a kid."
That's something I would never be able to answer because I think there's over 300. I don't know. There's classified bases that are
And
not
you got
even
to
part of the
remember,
public
I was
record.
going to say to Nate, or not, no, but no, that's another guy. To Dre, I was going to say a lot of this stuff's happening underground and underground military bases, like Phil Schneider said, like Drago said, where they've been taken, like Arkeem, they've all been taken to underground bases. So it's like, the only stuff that happens on the surface is that place that where they took some UFO craft in Ohio, Wright Patterson Air Force Base. They might, I mean, I'm sure. I think White Sands too. They say White Sands is a big one.
I was actually at White Sands underground. That was part of one of my clone things. So I might still be there at White Sands, but I know that a lot of remote viewing that was done, and then some of my records say I was at White Sands. So when I found out, I was actually intrigued because I always had this connection to White Sands that I never really understood. Like it always come up, like whenever I'd read the word White Sands, like it would affect my body. Like there's something there. And when I found out it was part of my records, I'm like, holy crap, man! Like one of the places they abduct me the most out of is U.S. SOCOM here in Florida, MacDill Air Force Base, and that's only like 12 or 13 miles away from here. So no matter where they've no matter where I move to, I've always seemed to be within 15 miles of the Air Force Base they abduct me from. And I always thought that it was always my idea to move to the places I moved to. And then I thought one day, I'm like, what are the odds that I'm always working within 5 or 6 miles from the Air Force Base that's abducting me? And it made me think for the first time when I found out that my trauma twin, the girl I was twinned with in the programs, I did a QHHT session on her, and we were told during her session that they did a ritual and summoned her to the place she would work at.
Wow.
Think about what I just said. So you get a job and you think that you randomly started working at a place that was your idea. And then the people that you're working around you with at that job you thought you chose were actually your damn handlers. And that a ceremony was created in order to bring you there energetically. So it made
Wow.
me think for the first time, the places I've been to, the places I've lived, I didn't choose those places. They made me think I chose those places every single time. And I'm just understanding that now only this year, only within the last year, that this is a reality. I didn't even know that was possible, that they're doing ceremonies to putting us in certain places, in certain jobs, with certain people, that they're actually doing ceremonies to do it. And that's the kind of stuff we saw in the programs, because if you were in the programs, man, there's not a scenario where you didn't go through ceremonies. If you don't have any memories of it, thank God you don't. But unfortunately, that's required to go through ceremonies.
Wow. Well, maybe we do one more question. This one's from, let me see here. I'll try to pick out a good one. This one's from, I found it. Oh, let me see. Lauren Renee. She says, "Who can we trust?"
Trust nobody. What I mean by that is if you follow somebody, and I'm gonna tell you what I do. Anybody that's introduced in my life that's in the programs, I'm automatically suspicious on who you are and what your real intention is. And even though it might not be something you know, I'm going to assume from that point on that you was sent in to handle me in some way. So I think about the scenarios of what's possible at that point and who you are at that point, regardless if we're friends or not. It could be an illusion. And I've got to understand what you're fully capable of at that point. So again, with that understanding, if it's like I was saying earlier, they send people in your life through ceremonies where you meet people and you become friends with them, and it turns out they were handling you since day one. And they were using words on you in day one. And they were keeping you entrained in a way, and they might not even be conscious of this. Most assets aren't even aware that they're doing this because they don't realize that they're part of being entrained, and they think their own thoughts are theirs. But you don't know this until you do hypnosis sessions on people to see who they truly are. It's kind of like you could be friends with someone for 5 years doing interviews on them, and then suddenly you might start hearing a lot of dark ass shit about them, and you start doing remote viewing and find out that they are the person that is being described with all this darkness, and they're only pretending and using you in a way to be a friend or to appear a certain way. So it's hard for me to really answer that question because again, I don't fully trust anybody. I don't care who you are, because if you're in the programs, there could be usury there that is unaware from both sides. So I'm going to assume that you're handling me in a certain way, but I'll still be friends with you. I'll still give you the respect. I'll still develop a relationship with you. But another thing running is I'm always still going to suspect that you're implanted in my life. So if it does happen and stuff does escalate, I knew from the beginning, and I will not be shocked in any way. And I've used that, and certain people were uncovered, and I wasn't shocked when I found out who they were, because I always suspected a part of that could be possible. So everybody says trust your discernment. You know, your discernment can be an illusion. Your discernment can be given to you through V2K or through other entities that exist within you. Like we found out in QHHT, other beings inhabit the body, and a lot of the thoughts you get are from these other beings. And you don't even know they exist until you bring them forward in a hypnosis session that they were even there. And they can be part of the why you're addicted to something very specifically. And it's them giving you the thoughts that's making the addiction. And I'm not saying they're making you do it. They're whispering the ideas of like, you got to do this, or like, just one more time, or like, man, you got a lot of stress, just do this. And it's not even you. So again, what truly is discernment at that point if you don't really understand that you can be manipulated and your own thoughts aren't even yours? So again, I don't have those kind of answers. I'm not a messiah. I don't know everything. I know what I've learned in the programs and how much they can manipulate the human mind through technology and organic ways. So I don't know, man. I'm in my own spiritual evolution and my own journey to figure that out myself. So
Yeah.
I can't give you that advice because I truly don't possess that answer.
Yeah. This was amazing, man. I don't want to go too long, but yeah,
This
I
was
mean,
actually a really good show. This was actually one of my favorite shows where we talked about the most cool stuff. So like I was like, heck yeah, man.
I thought this was fun too. I thought this one came out really good. You know, I think people are really going to like this. You know, because we touched on so much different stuff. It was we were kind of everywhere, but it all made sense. You know, so it was
I
like
like about your show because you always ask me, what do you want to talk about? And I'm like, I'm not the guy that just wants to talk about a specific subject. Just whatever comes to mind. Ask me questions and we'll see where it goes, because it's like we didn't design the show behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Because that can really make a show kind of suck because you control the entire theme and it doesn't allow you to like navigate to uncharted realms because you're affixing certain rules to it.
Yeah.
I'm the freaking rule breaker, man. I am defiant to the end. My file says I'm divergent. It says that I always break my programming, and it says I do not do well with authorities. Think about why I do not do well with authorities, because no man is above me. I can show you respect, but don't disrespect me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if your authority tells you you're above another human, it's an illusion. If you have a badge that says, I'm above you, you're living in an illusion. You're living in a box this small, and your power is located within this box. I am everything outside that box. I am all of it. And you're just this little small box. But I'm a good commander, and my other past lives, if people wanted to remote view them, I was always good to my people because I see the power in treating people good with respect because those people will die for you. If you traumatize people, if you give them rules, if you constantly punish them, even in the military, they will not follow you to the depths of hell. I need people that would die for me because I would die for them. I would die for anybody because death is an illusion. And you know what? If I died for someone else, we consider that a good death.
That's really well said. Well, we can end it there. Do you want to tell people, thanks, man? This was awesome. Do you want to tell people where they can find you at and how they can subscribe to your channel and all that stuff?
Awesome. So you could find me right here at fractaloflight.com, where I do Dolores Cannon QHHT quantum healing hypnosis sessions that are in person only. I do not do anything online. I do 1 hour and 3 hour consults for people in the programs, people in the SSP. Any questions that you want answered? I know a lot of stuff, man. I've spent my life uncovering all these answers, and with what I learned from QHHT, it's amazing the type of knowledge that I possess. But that's the best thing I can do for people. If you want to talk, I do offer that. Other than that, you could find me on Portal to Another Dimension on rumble.com. That is my own show. And you could find Laura Eisenhower's a nice show, The Rebel Collective, also on rumble.com. You cannot find our content on YouTube because they deleted us from YouTube again.
Wow. I'm so
So if you don't have rumble.com, you suck. That's where all the censored stuff is, where they don't censor anybody, and all the stuff that was banned, it's on Rumble. So join the times, get off the censorship YouTube stuff, and get onto something that's not going to censor you, man. So you're not going to help us unless you literally join rumble.com.
yeah, I'm on Rumble too. You know, but Drago knows that. Like I don't have as many followers on Rumble. I have like 2,000 followers on Rumble, but like I still
That's
get
because people they refuse to join Rumble and they want to keep a censor. They want to keep a streaming network that censors everybody, and everybody's always bitching about. They gave me my second strike. They gave me another strike. They gave me another strike. Why are you still on YouTube, man? They will not let us speak about nothing. So what's the point? It's constant anxiety. Everybody needs to make the move to freaking Rumble and get over it, man. Because like, if you consider yourself awakened, you're truly not. If you don't know what rumble.com is, because everything is on rumble.com. So help us, people. Come to rumble.com, subscribe to our show, like our content, because if you don't, we're never going to become nothing. We're never going to seek the audience we have to seek, because if you're not willing to do the simplest thing like joining another streaming network, the problem is you, not us.
yeah, and Drago's ported to another dimension on Rumble, and I'm typical skeptic podcast on Rumble. And you guys should subscribe to both. And that's it. And thank you so much, man. I look forward to seeing you again, and hopefully we'll do another show before we meet in person again. But I'm guessing we'll meet in person again next year. But you know, let's do another couple more shows before that. You know.
You're like, next year we'll be like, dang, this is our 12th show, Drago. I'm like, hey.
We're making history, man. You know.
I like